There we go. Recording in progress. Okay. So, oh, I'm gonna have to reconnect. So everyone should have gotten an email from me, um, with the directions that you put in CPT Rep Gen to get to the report generator. For right now, that's the only way you can log in. Like it's not worth bookmarking that page to get back to it because even if you can get back there, you aren't going to be able to access your account unless you go from the iSeries to that new. That may change when we get everyone onto web-based things, but this is how we are for now. So you would go into your iSeries, type in CPT Rep Gen, and then it takes a minute for it to like bounce back and forth and pull up. But you should get it to pull up in a web browser. Our report generator is built for Chrome. And we have had reports of there being issues if you're using it in another browser. It will work, but um, not. We don't support it, and it depends on what you're doing. Some things will work, and then you'll get to a place where other things won't work. We've had like filters clearing and things like that in other browsers. So that's kind of like the first thing to do is to go to Chrome. We could add that to our FAQs. Um, okay, so when you go into the report generator, this should be the screen that you see. It'll have your county in the top left. It will list the reports that you own on in this list. Our navigation all through report generator is around the edge, so top, sides, and bottom. On the top, we've got an X that'll turn blue later and we can use it. We've got a question mark. This question mark is our help page. Each page or tab of our report generator has its own help page. So this is the report list. This is the help page for the report list page of our report generator. So if you miss information, are wondering about it, those help pages are a great spot to start. The other thing is over here on the left, every page has access to this FAQ page. It's the same on every page. We are adding like frequently asked questions to that page right now. It's only got kind of a basics section where you could do a quick refresh and an explanation of repeating fields. Um, Again, if you have questions that aren't covered on the help pages or the FAQ, reach out and ask us. We will be actively keeping those up to date as we move forward. That's kind of our manual for our our new online version is going to be these help pages. On the left here, we can make a new report. We'll do that in a minute. The only other navigation we have on this page is view all reports at the bottom. If you click that, you can see all the reports that are in your county. And if you go back, you can see your reports. So I want to see mine at the top. Okay, so here's all your columns. Category is going to tell you like which report generator this was made in. You used to have to go to different menus to get different report generators. Now you can pull them all here, but you're still pulling whatever like group of data that you were before. So we have auditors, assessors, CAMA, treasurers, previous year, sales ratio. When you do a new report, you pick the category. The user is whoever owns it. You can view other people's reports. You can run other people's reports. You can change other people's reports, but you can't save the changes to someone else's report and you cannot delete someone else's report. If you want to save the changes, you'd have to save a copy of it that you would then own. You can see over here on the far right, I have an X that would delete the report. If I click the X, it asks me if I want to delete this report. I cannot delete anyone else's report. You give your reports a name. The reports that we pulled through from your old system follow that old naming where you have like the shortcut name and then your long name. You cannot rename reports, but if you really don't like this name and you want it to be different, you will click the copy. Where does it report? Yeah. You would click the copy, and when you click copy, it will allow you to rename it. So you could easily make a copy and just get rid of the old one if you want it to be a new name. Um, if we hover over that name field, it will pull up anything that we put into the notes field in the report. So the other thing you can do if you don't want to rename it is you can make a note, and I'll show you when we build the report where that notes field is. You can see for my report here, I said hello to myself in the notes, but you could do a, run this when Susie calls or whatever you want to do in that note. And that note you can change at any point. It's going to tell you whether it's a standard or a custom. Custom reports are like our letters, our labels. We'll walk through how we make those. Every report starts as standard, and then you decide to make it custom if you want to. You can always take it back to standard too. Every report has a unique ID in the system. So you can have two reports with the same name because we give them each a different ID number. It'll also tell you when the report was created and when it was last run. So you can see that I wanted mine at the top, and I knew that it was probably going to be the most recently run. So I clicked on this column. All of the columns have navigation options. So if I click on a column, it's going to sort A to Z or 1 to 100. And then if I click on it again, it's going to sort Z to A or 100 to 1. So most recent to least recent. And then if I click on it a third time, it's going to release. We can also use this hamburger menu to search for things. I'll show you a little bit more of that once we get into a report because we have those same options other places. The last three columns are, this is to copy a report to make it ours. This is to run a report to a PDF or to an Excel. You don't have to go into the report in order to run it. You can find it on the list and click the PDF or the Excel and it'll give you that export. It will give you any filters that you tell it to give you at this point, and it will just pull through some of the other stuff automatically. So again, as we build it, I'll tell you how you would get things to pop up for these options or when it's just going to do it automatically. That's about all I have for this page. Any questions before I move on? We can always circle back, but feel free to unmute or type in. So if I do a new report, I'm going to make this a test report. And you can see here, we can pick all of our different old report generators. Once we get into the report, you can see that this X has turned blue because I can now click it and it would send me back to the report list. We have our own help page for this report. At the top, these are all of the tabs. Each tab has, again, like its own help page, its own options for things to do. You can click on the tab you want to go to and go back and forth and do things quickly. We also have these navigation buttons at the bottom that will move you through when you're building. I mean, usually when you're building a report, you're going to want to look at each page so you can just navigate through that way. At the bottom, you can choose to save a report. That's a good idea to do before you walk away from your computer. I'll explain a little more about that later. And then on the left, we have here, you can go back to the report list. You can make a new report right from here. You can save this report as, which is helpful if you are like thinking you want to make a different one, but you don't know. You can go in and look at it and say, oh, I want to save this as mine. Or you can, like, this is my report. I can go in and I can save it to another user. I can save it as a new name to another user. And so then it just shows up in their list for them. So we start on the Fields tab. This is where we're selecting the fields that we want. Again, these fields are going to be the same as they were in the old listing, but in our old report generator, you could see the field shortcut name and the field text. Now we also show you the file shortcut and the file description. And for some of these fields, if you hover over them, it will give you new or more information about that field. So if something looks kind of odd and you wonder what it is, you can add it to a report to check, or you can just hover over it to see if it's going to give you more information. I really like to use this hamburger menu to search for fields. So we tend to use, there's a lot of options here. This report generator sort of background or whatever is used by other systems that use more of these. We tend to use contains, not contains, or like starts with. Those are kind of the three that we use, and they're explained in the help menu. So the standard is contains. I want a parcel. We'll get a parcel number and a record number. And then let's see, I want value. I want it to start with value, not just have value in it. And actually, I'm going to say I want it to not contain tax. I don't want a taxable value. I'm just looking for value. So you can stack these on here too to look for what you want. And then let's grab a few values. What else do I want? I want township city number and taxpayer name. Now, something else we can do, let me clear this. When you're here, is like, say I'm looking for something and I don't know what it is. If you know, or like what the name of the field is, or you know, where it would be, if you know something that it's close to, like say you know this is a cross county field, you can go look and find the cross county file, TXCCTY, and then I can go here, TXCCTY. Helps if you type it in correctly. TXCC. Hold on. I'm trying to use the new keyboard and I should just go back to TY. So then that's going to pull up our cross county file. And we can see all the other fields that are in there. Or if you know it's on the same, the item that you're looking for is on the same screen in our system as another field that you can find, you can look for that other field, figure out what file it's in, search by file, and use that to find your fields as well. Any questions before I move on? Next, we have the print tab. So in this print tab, you can, we do not allow for the sorting. You know, on this screen, you could sort A to Z, you could sort Z to A, you could pull things up by the hamburger menu. We don't have that here because the order that these list in is the order that they'll print. And so this top one is going to be your left-hand column, and this bottom one is going to be your right-hand column. And if you want them to print in a different order, you grab these little dots over here and you drag them around. So you can change the order that they print in over here by drag and dropping. This width is kind of a preset, what we think would be a good width for this. It follows certain rules. You can certainly change it. So I want to show you if you change the width to be small for a numbers field, let's make it like a 4 here. We want it to be small for this numbers field. Total market value. We're going to bring it as small as we can without cutting out any of the numbers that are actually listed. We'll cut out totals, but we won't cut out those numbers. But if we change the width to be small for an alpha field, this taxonomy name reversed has, you know, alpha in it, we will cut that out. So I'm going to show you, I made both of these smaller than the smallest input, and we'll show you in the output what those look like. And then here we also have like the field, the text, the file description. We relist those for you on this screen. If we go to the next screen, if we don't want something to print, say I don't want the record to print, we can uncheck it and it just will, you can leave it in your report, but just not have it print for this export by unchecking it. So on our next screen, we're sorting. Our default sort is by parcel, and if you do nothing here, we will just sort by parcel and then by value of record. If you would like to do something else, you add it here. We have the option to do a section break or a page break. If you add a section break, we are going to get summary data by whatever you add that section break. So I want summary data by township. I actually am going to make it a page break. If you do a page break, it automatically makes it a section break. A page break is a section break that also bumps you to the next page. If you do either of these, you have to sort by that line. So this is, I can sort ascending, I can sort descending. Let's sort by that, and then let's sort by house and garage. And again, if you want to change the sort order, you can drag these over here. It's, it's not going to change the printing tab. It's just determining the order that the sorts go in. You can do multiple sorts. And again, we just give you the information about that parcel. On the next tab, we have filters. And this is where you can make it so that you're not always listing your entire county, all of the parcels in your county. You can choose any of the fields that you've chosen to filter by. So I'm going to start by filtering by township city, and then you choose a condition. You can do equal, not equal, less than, greater than equal to, like, or a range. Just a note here, this like is helpful for alpha fields. So if you're looking for everything on 4th Street, you can do like 4th, and you'll get everything that has a 4th in it. But it's not helpful for number fields where you're not going to get numbers out of it. If you do range, okay, so if you leave this as equals, we can put in our variable here. I want it to be township 1, or I can go over here and I can click prompt, which means when I go to submit this, it's going to give me a pop-up on my screen. It's going to prompt me to say, what townships do you want? This is where if you choose prompt, when you're on your report list and you say, I want it to give me a PDF, I want it to give me an Excel, it will show up those prompts. You don't have to go in to designate. You can just from that list prompt and designate. If you choose range, it requires a prompt and it'll just do that for you. Sorry, you can't put your variable in here. You have to do it as a prompt. Over here, you can delete filters if we want to, and then we can do this and or. We'll come back to this and or once we kind of just see how this works. On the summary, you can get the count, and I'm going to show you what that count does. Or we can get totals, min, max, and average. It only offers min, max, and average for fields that make sense, for like number fields where you can actually get the total, min, max, and average. That doesn't make sense for parcel numbers. It doesn't make sense for other things. So we only offer that for the fields that it would help with. And then on our output, we have a lot of options here. So you can choose summary only. If you choose summary only, you're going to get like the summary data for your breaks. Whether it's just, if there's no section or page break, it'll just give you the summary. If you have it by section, we would get summary by township. No means you're getting details. You can choose a portrait or a landscape. You can choose what paper size you're exporting to. You can choose a PDF or Excel. If you choose Excel, some of the other things like don't matter. It doesn't matter if you're doing your margins and things like that. We're going to do a PDF. Remove protected officials, that goes to an automatic no. If you noticed before we came in, there were a few that were listed that had protected officials removed, and that will actually like does that actually show up for you? No, that must have been in the, nope, it does show up for you. If I say yes, I believe it shows up in report list so we can see it. The automatic is no, but for any of these, you can make it yes. Staggering your total lines, we have that as a no. We'll show you why you might want to do that in the export. And then for an options page, the options page is going to be the first page for you assessors. I showed you what this option page looks like yesterday, but we'll add it to our report. It gives you the first page of the report is going to be like all of the options that you picked. Everything you did in all of these tabs will be on that options page. It's a great way to share a report like between counties um, or to be able to go back and say like, what do we choose for this report when we're making a new one? You know, you can certainly copy it over, but if you want to do it in a different report generator, then maybe you do the options page and used it off that. When you have an options page, you can see whether you want it to print your notes or not. I'm going to say yes, so you can see where it is. So subheading, I'm just going to give us a subheading so you see where that goes. On our export, you're going to get the name of the report, which I called my test. You're going to get the subheading and then the notes are going to pull into the notes. And again, this is where we would put that note. We're back on our report list. When I hovered over it, it said hello. I had put hello here. This one, when we hover over it, it's going to say Susie Notes. You can also change the margins. So you can do the top and bottom margins different, the left and right margins different. You can change the font size. If you're trying to get like a lot of fields onto one page, you can go to the print tab and change the widths so it's not showing all of everything and you're cramming those fields onto one page. You can also go to the output and change the font size to be smaller or change the margins to be different. While I powered through, I need to sit here for a minute because I need a 20-minute pop-up to show up. And I have not been on here for 20 minutes. What did I miss or what questions do you have? When we were talking about the filters and filters giving you a prompt, there are some automatic prompts that show up. If you have New Year files, oh, I feel like there's no. Okay, if you have New Year files, it's going to give you are you using the New Year or Old Year prompt? Yay! Here's my 20 minutes. Um, if you are in CAMA, it's going to give you an automatic, which CAMA year do you want to use? There's some automatic prompts that will show up. We are going to do a CAMA report at the end because there are a couple of um, rules that apply only to CAMA, and I'll show you that. For security reasons, after you've been on for an hour, we log you out. And anything that has not been saved, you lose. So like I said, if you walk away from your report, you want to click Save Report in case you get stuck at the counter and don't get back to your desk in an hour and didn't realize it. But if you're sitting at your desk, we will give you this pop-up at your 20-minute mark. Your session is about to expire. Would you like to continue? If you click Continue, it refreshes your session. It starts that hour over right now. If you click Save Report, it also restarts your session. You saw that little like spinny thing? That's our system like touching the back side, saving everything to there, and then coming back to you. That's restarting your session. Every time you go back to the report list and back in, or save your report, or export a report, do a submit here, you're restarting that session. So I didn't want to do that until we got in our 20-minute pop-up because I wanted you to see it. But now that we've gotten it, let's submit this report. There's New Year's files on, so it's saying, would you like to use New Year's files or no? And then we're getting my township range because I said that I wanted that to come up as a prompt. And we'll just do the first two townships here. There's a cancel option. So that's helpful if you like forgot to add a filter and it's taking forever and you just want it to stop, you no longer have to like sign out and back in. You can just click cancel and go back. And then when we submit these, they go to our downloads folder. So they would be on your computer in your downloads folder, or typically you can pull them up from the browser. You don't have to go searching for them on some shared drive. They're going to be sitting here for you. And I asked for an options page. So here's my options page. It's got my report name, my subheading, it's got my notes, and it's got all the other information that I put in there so that I could remake this report if I wanted to. Then when we go down, it's listing on my info. Oh, here we go, Township 1. So remember that I made the taxpayer 4 wide and I'd made my total market 4 wide. You can see that my taxpayer is actually 4 digits wide. It's cutting off everything but four digits of that first name. But my total market is listing, it's only going small enough to include my largest field. Now it is cutting off the totals here. When we get to the totals, you can see how they're bleeding into each other. The way we fix that is either by making your columns wider or by staggering your totals. And I'll show you what that looks like when we do our next export. So the other thing I did is I did counts. This is not counting the number of unique entries, it's just counting the number of entries. So there's 237 times does it say 1 here, 237 times does it list a parcel number, but there's only 7 times that it gives us a house and garage. So that's what that count is giving. It's giving you the number of inputs in that column, not unique inputs, just inputs. And then here we have our totals, our min, our max, our average. So if I go back, I changed my stagger lines, I changed my options page. I want to show you a couple other things. We're going to go back to the filter, and we're going to talk about this or. Say I want to do my township city range and I want something that either has the house and garage not equal to 0, so it has a house and garage value, or I want a lot of value. I want my total market greater than, let's say, 1 million. Okay. So if I change that here, and then I come back here and I submit, it saved my inputs that I made, but I still have to submit again. And then now my lists are going to be shorter because I'm only getting stuff with a lot of total market or house and garage. And you can see that my totals are staggered. So it goes up, down, which is a little bit odd for, them all being the same thing, but it allows us to not have to make our column super wide and still be able to view all those in those details. Now, here's what happened. I got township 1, township 2. Why do I have township 3 and 4? I have townships 3 and 4 because I like to say that OR filter is strong. So if I go back here, that OR filter, it's like a brake. Brenda says, I saw the ICE, Zillow, and CoreLogic reports on here. Will we be generating those reports on our own rather than authorizing CPT to send those reports to them? I don't know the answer to that.
We're hoping we still can generate them for them.
That's something we would love to do for you. Okay, so this OR filter is strong. It's breaking. What it's doing is it's saying we're looking for anything that matches the filters above or the filters below. So we're getting an output that has everything in Township City 1 and 2 with a house and garage value, or anything in the whole county that has a total market value greater than 1 million. If we want it to still be only that townships 1 and 2, we would have to add that down here because this or means it's not looking above it when it looks below it. It's either giving you everything that meets above or below. So if I want to do that, I would add my filter again down here. And if I do that, I'm going to get 2 pop-ups. So this is going to be the pop-up for my first township city, and this is going to be the pop-up for my second township city. I didn't get a second pop-up. Filter. Save. Oh, I left it at equals. Okay, hold on. Range. Yeah. Okay, try again. 1 to 2, and then here we go. 1 to 2. So this is my second pop-up. So that is the thing with filters is you kind of need to know what they were for. I can't remember which one was first. Okay, this one should be it. So now I'm only getting townships 1 and 2 because I put that above and below that break. Something else that I want to just show you, because it can be confusing, is if you want summary data for something that you're doing that section, if you want a section and page break, which is how you get your summary data, you have to be printing that field. If we don't print the township city, we can still say we want a section and page break and we want that information for it, but in our output, it's just not going to be there. So you see, there was no summary data. It just went from 1 to 2 because we wanted it to break by township. And in order to break by something, you need to be printing that field. All right, that's what I have for standard reports. I'm ready to move on to custom reports. Unless anyone has other questions. Custom reports is just a different way of printing a report. And so it's going to be in our printing tab. So if we come over here to the print tab, down here, we've got custom reports. So if I click custom report, it's going to pull up a page for me. Over here on the right, I've got some of my custom report options. I can zoom in and zoom out. That's not changing anything in the output. That's just zooming in and zooming out. I can make the font larger or smaller, and I can make things bold. We'll do that once we get stuff on there. I can change from portrait to landscape and back. I can select my paper size or set my margins. Anything that I change here is also going to change in the output tab, and anything I change on the output tab is going to change my custom report. So it's the same information, it's just different places of seeing it. We also have an undo and a redo down here, which can be really nice when you're dealing with this. So when I'm dealing with a report, we always start by inputting fields on the left. And if you want a field actually over here, you would input a text field and you would do a whole bunch of spaces to move it over. So I'll start by inserting deer, and then let's do a report field. So I can input text, I can do a field. I can add a row or remove the row that I'm on. If I insert a report field, it pulls up the sidebar of all the fields that I've chosen. If there's a field that I want that's not here, I would go back to my fields tab, I would select that, it would show up here, and I would be able to add it. You can trim here. If I click this, it will automatically trim it. You can also trim it once you input it, and it tells you whether it's a repeating field. We'll get to trimming and repeating fields in just a minute. I want dear taxpayer name. It's going to pull in that taxpayer name. And then I'm going to input the parcel number. And then we're going to go, I'm going to do a value. So let's do a total market value. Total market value, all of these are repeating fields. A repeating field is anything that can happen like more than once per parcel. So a record is a repeating field because you can have multiple records on a parcel. Special assessment information is going to be a repeating field because you can have more than one of those. Ditches are repeating fields, things like that. Those are repeating fields. Anything that's in a file with a repeating field, like a record or a ditch or a special, is going to be itself a repeating field because it's connected to that repeating field that's in that file. Repeating fields go by file. So if I'm going to pull value, when you're inputting a repeating field, you can do detail, totals, or both. If you're doing detail, it's going to ask you how many lines of detail. So like, how many records do I want to list? I'm going to say I want to list up to 2 records. Then if they have 3, we're only going to see the first 2. And I'm actually going to say both. So then if I do both, it's actually inputting 2 fields. It's giving me a detail field and a total field. I can also say I want this to be a non-repeating field, and then it then we don't have to do the like number of lines and anything like that. But if I submit, you're gonna see it inputs two fields here. And they are separate. I can get rid of one of them or both of them. I can, before this one, I'm going to go here and insert text. And I'm going to say total. And I'm going to do a space. I'm going to show you what it looks like with and without the space. Let's just export this and look at it, and then we'll come back and change some things. Dear taxpayer name, I did not put a space here, and you can see how it's crammed together. If I want a space there, I can go in and add a space. Here's your parcel number. Here's your detail, and then here's my total where I did put a space, and it goes there. Go back here. So I'm going to go. I'm going to zoom in here. Actually, let's make the font bigger, shall we? So this font makes everything larger or smaller. Let's add some text. It's so nice to chat. I can take any of these fields and I can make them bold or turn the bold off. I can do that to my text fields, turn them all bold or bold off. If I only want like one word in bold, I can select it and come over here in bold. It's actually going to separate that out. So now you have three fields. But if you know, it's easier than having to like do that yourself. If you're in the middle of a paragraph, you can make that bold. What else did I want to do? Let's do this output and we'll look at it again. I want to show you that trim, but I want to show it to you before I trim it. So here we have dear taxpayer, and what we do is we give enough space for the entire taxpayer name. So this is empty space. You can see it's so nice to chat. If I don't want this empty space, if I'm inputting this field in the middle of other things and I don't want that empty space, that's where I would trim. Trimming means we're just going to take this down to be the size of whatever's used in this field instead of the standard size. So if I go in here and I choose trim, hard to do it across the room. I have to select it and then I have to get down to this trim. There we go. That's going to trim, and you can see now it has a T there, so we can see that it's trimming that field. Then when I go to my export, it will have taken out all that white space. And there we go. It's so nice to chat. It's right up against that because we've taken out that white space. Now, if I go back, we can, like I said before, you can remove I can remove a row. That just gets rid of the row that I'm on. I can highlight over here and I can add a row, which would add a row below the one I was on. We can also make labels, which is what I'm going to show you. You can, if above here, there's an X, which is to remove the field. So I'm going through and I'm removing these. And then I'm going to go here and I'm going to put in my parcel number again. If I do, actually, I'm going to make my font smaller again. If I do labels, down here is my labels. Labels is a type of custom report. I can view my fields normally or go back to my custom report using this button. This labels button is going to pull up our labels options. We have two presets. We have your Avery 3x10 preset, and we have your Avery 2x4 preset. You can either start with one of these and adjust margins or across down, or you can just start with what you want and then start to make your own labels. If we had a county that had these 3x10 labels, but they weren't Avery, and so the spacing was slightly different, and they were able to fix that by just adjusting these margins slightly so that it got on there. So it's something you can play around with. If we do that, then you are adjusting the information in this top left label, and then each of these is like a subsequent page. So you're going to see the it progressing, which in a standard report would be like a subsequent line, right? That's what it would be. We submit this. Then you can see we're getting this and on the label and we're going down. Now I wanted to go show you, I think it was on page 3. Yep, here we go. Remember how I said I wanted 2 lines of detail? Here we finally have a parcel that has 2 records. So we've got 2 lines of detail and then a total here. Okay, another thing to think about is if you have something that's a repeating field, when we do our sort, it's going to sort that repeating field on the page. So when we're doing a township sort, it's going to, or like we're doing a house and value record sort, it's still going to list like the house and garage value. Let's do it this way. Let's just show you. If I do total market ascending, but I'll do this parcel record descending. So if we do descending by parcel and ascending by total market, because I got that total market listed so we can see it. You can see for this output, it's going, this is going to be your record 1, this is going to be your record 2. But if I say I want it in ascending order, it's going to do smallest value to largest value in your output. So if I change that, because parcel number is not a repeating field, it's going to list them in descending parcel number order. Because total market value is an ascending field, it's going to sort that on the output in the label. Okay, so if I go down here, so now you can see like we were going township 1 to township 2. Now, since I said descending order, now we're listing township 2 down to township 1. And where this parcel was 37,379 first, it's now going to be 21 first. I got to go find it. 106. Here we are. Now we can see that that 21 is listing first and that 379 because it's sorting like within that custom output. All right. Is there anything else I needed to do? Labels, repeating fields, adding between, before, after. Reach out with questions or if you need help, making your first report. Once you get going, it works pretty slick, but it can be frustrating. The last thing that I have is to show you just a quick look at the CAMA rules. So again, I can make this report the same name because it's going to be in CAMA and it's going to have its own ID. So I'm going to add a parcel number and I'm going to add CO. I'm gonna just add CO minor. And I'm going to show you. So we're printing them. I don't care. The camera rule I wanted to show you has to do with filters. If you want to filter in CAMA, we have major and minor fields. If you want to filter by a minor field, you have to first filter by that major field. And if you try adding a minor field without the major field, we will add it for you. In fact, if you haven't selected it, we have now selected it. It will not be selected to print because you probably didn't want it. If you actually want it to print, you have to come back here and tell it to print. But we're going to add it to the report so we can use it here. So two things. In order to sort by a minor field, you have to sort by the corresponding major field. And these major and minors require prompts. They have kind of their own prompts. And I'll show you what those look like. So if we were to save this one, again, in CAMA, you get that automatic prompt that asks you what library you want. And then you get your major and minor. You can do more than one. If I do, let's pick the first three. I'm doing these three major categories. Well, then I'm going to get three prompts for minor categories. It's telling me this is my CO major that I picked. Up here, it's telling me this is for apartment assisted living. And I can select all of the minor category options that I want. And then next, it's going to give me the next one that I did. It's going to tell me at the top what I'm selecting for. And here's the third one. And then we get our output and it will list it for, again, like I'm not printing the major because I didn't add it. I could print it if I wanted to. And I would have to go just click it in that print tab. Then it would list. I'm going to save my outputs. I only change them if I want to. And I'll get it to print. So there's our little CAMA tutorial. And again, that information is in the help pages for that. So if you have questions, you can go there or give us a call. That's all I have. Let me stop my recording.